Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. I'm Alexander, and here we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs and marketing innovators. Each episode, we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and unique strategies of our amazing guests, giving you valuable insights and inspiration. Our goal is to build a community of growth oriented professionals ready to learn, collaborate, and thrive in the ever evolving world of digital marketing. So, whether you're here for the latest trends or looking for that next big idea, you've come to the right place. And today, we're joined by Josh Waddell, the co-founder and CEO of Visalaw.ai, a pioneering legal technology firm dedicated to reshaping immigration law practice through advanced AI solutions. Under Josh's leadership, Visalaw has developed GEN, an AI-powered platform that streamlines legal research, drafting, and workflow automation for immigration professionals. Recently, Visalaw was honored with the 2024 American Legal Technology Award in the Artificial Intelligence category, highlighting its significant impact on the legal tech landscape. Join us as we delve into Josh's journey, the innovation at Visalaw, and the future of AI in legal services. Josh, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Alexander. Again, that's such a great introduction.
My pleasure. It's all true. I mean, just information gathered from the internet.
All right. Well,
I'm super excited to have you because as I've been following AI, in my opinion, I know that two of the big areas that AI is super important, apart from coding, is going to be legal and medical. And medical more for image recognition, but in legal we know that it's so complex, it's so vast that AI will be and is already such an amazing tool. So can you tell us a little bit about you, your career, and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I'm Josh. I started out again, it's sort of interesting. Now that I'm in this really tech AI role, it really all started within a law firm. So our startup was sort of a spinoff of an immigration law firm based in the US. We started the company about 4 years ago. But before all of that, I was working in an operations role, like more of a project manager type role within a law firm for approximately like 8 to 10 years. So really just kind of learning how law firms operate for that period of time. Initially, I thought I was going to go to law school. So like the whole goal was, okay, after college, what am I going to do? Okay, I need a job. Let's go work at this law firm and just figure it out. I realized that at the time, law may have not been the right path for me, but I really liked the business side of the company. So I decided to go back to school, get a business degree, and then all of this new technology delight, and so from there it's been great ever since.
Can you just repeat the last part? I cut off.
Hang on, did you lose me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just you. For the last 10 seconds I lost you. Can you hear me? No. Oops. Josh?
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you. Hang on.
Yeah, nothing changed on my side.
How about now?
Yeah, 1 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2. Okay, I can hear you.
All right, cool. I was telling you I lost you for the 10 seconds. You were saying you love the business part of things, and then you kind of cut off after that.
Yeah, so obviously you can edit. Where do you want me to kind of start back? Do you want me to start it? I can start at the beginning of my response, or I can start.
Yeah, you can start at the beginning, and I'll just let the team know that we had a little technical glitch at the beginning, and then just to take the second take.
Got it. Okay, let's do it. So I really got started in-house at a law firm. So it didn't really start as a technical focus. It was more my interest in law at the time, coming out of college, and decided, I wanted to work at a law firm to get my feet, a little dirty and kind of get to the ground running there. And so I decided after working at a law firm that probably law was not the best path for me in terms of going to law school, but I decided the business track was really interesting and ended up going back, getting a business degree and pursuing that route. And over time, it just sort of became a sort of technical software role as our law firm started advancing our own kind of capabilities. And 4 years ago, we spun off a software company from the law firm, and that's how Visalaw.ai came to exist.
Okay, so you convinced the people you were working for to help you get started with Visalaw. That's pretty cool. So that way you already have somebody committed to trying your software, and that's a really cool idea. And so is the law firm like investors in the business?
Yeah. So basically, some of the partners in the law firm have chosen to be co-founders. They're all involved in different ways. Really, the one of the main brilliant marketing minds of all of this is Greg Siskin, the co-founder of the law firm and also co-founder of the tech company. It's a really long story, but basically, Greg created Siskin Susser, the law firm that all of this sort of started out of, and I believe the law firm started in 1994, and he was the third law firm in the country with a website. And he was a solo attorney in Tennessee. And of course, the other companies were like these massive firms in like Washington, D.C. and New York, the two that were kind of first to the chase. And yeah, he did it all himself. He learned how to code. I mean, this is like we're talking about like early stage websites, like, and of course he got like national media attention, and that's really what got the law firm a really big business boost at the beginning, was being one of the first law firms with a website. And so the marketing sort of, carried on from there, being the first with a blog, first with a, social media following, being a really big influencer now on most social media platforms. And of course, now segueing into software.
And so, it's been 4 years, but if we kind of look back at the news, AI has kind of like, came into everybody's mouth in the last 12 months. So you started super early on the whole trend.
Yeah. And for us, it started before AI as we know it today. It wasn't generative AI. It wasn't the fancy AI. It was like, it's hard to even call it AI now. But yeah, we were really focused on more like decision tree logic kind of tools, like if this, then that. So a lot of these like eligibility analysis tools, reporting tools that were very specific to niche areas of immigration law. And yeah, that eventually, we segued into generative AI as we started learning more about the capability, and we just jumped. We basically went all in like 2020, early 2023.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the software and kind of how it's helping people, or like, what were the pain points before, and what are you guys solving with this software, and what is the plan, I would say, for the future?
Absolutely. Yeah. So to kind of step back, I mean, one of the really nice things about immigration law being a very, very small niche of the legal market is that immigration lawyers generally bill flat fee. So I think a lot of times when I talk about legal tech and innovation, one of the nice things about immigration lawyers is that they are wanting efficiency, right? Like if we can do something quicker, it's really good because like we can do more work and we can turn around and generate basically more business and more revenue, and serve more clients at the same time. So that's not always the case in legal generally. The billable hour, everyone's always talking about the billable hour and how it's going to end with AI. Immigration law never had that problem, or at least conventionally in the last several years. So that felt like an advantage, and we wanted to build a tool that served two purposes. First is research. One of the main areas of interest for generative AI and all of legal is this idea of research. So having this large, massive data set that lawyers can ask questions to and get like a really, really good results and citations. We have that with a proprietary immigration data set. So that's essentially what we've built. And then what has become of our product over the last 8 months is something I think is really fascinating, which is advanced drafting capabilities. So what we are doing now is allowing lawyers to use our tool and generate like entire petitions using AI. And our sort of marketing pitch, and we think it's true now, is that you can essentially generate or create a petition that would normally take between 15 and 20 hours in like 20 minutes. That is a first draft. I'm not talking about you print it out and mail it into the government, but like a first draft for an immigration professional to review. That's what we're working on.
Yeah, so it's going to allow lawyers to go from like, I don't know anything about immigration lawyer, I'm just going to throw a random number, but go from like 10 cases per month to like 20 or 30 or 40.
Absolutely. And there's also, even if you didn't increase the volume, if you were still doing the same number of cases, there's still a cost savings, because a lot of firms, generally speaking, it's not a secret. It's usually, a lot of this work is actually outsourced, right? Like, so if you're a law firm and you're doing these extraordinary ability cases or Einstein visa cases or whatever, that require a lot of drafting, you usually have expert writers, or someone who's maybe like an English major who just has really good writing skills. A lot of times firms are outsourcing that work and paying someone else to do it. So there's also just a direct cost savings of not having to pay, whatever it is, $1,000 or however much money to have someone draft it for you, and then just use the AI, and it would be a much lower cost. So the volume for sure, but also just in terms of like being able to insource something that a lot of firms are probably outsourcing at the moment.
Or somebody that wants to have a better life, I would say, like work-life balance. No, I'm not going to do more, but now instead of working, 60 hours per week, I probably can do it in 30 and then enjoy my free time, basically.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, and I will say, like, everything we're building is definitely lawyer and law firm facing, or I would say organization facing.
Yeah.
So that's one kind of piece of this right now. I don't think we're necessarily opposed to considering in the future some kind of consumer facing component, but that's probably, it's not just the software, the tech, or even lawyers that are preventing that. A lot of that's regulations and the unauthorized practice of law and some of those things that will likely change over time. So we're very open-minded, but we do think that ultimately this should create a better lifestyle for attorneys and law firms, maybe also lower the cost of certain legal services for
make it
for individuals who need
more affordable.
Yeah, hopefully make access to these kinds of things more more available and affordable. So yeah, all of that's baked in. Obviously, we're a private company. We have to make revenue and hope to make a profit, but there is that dual interest of just like access to justice, making these things of readily available more accessible, because as you probably heard people talk about, most individuals, at least in the United States, even can't afford legal services, generally speaking. So that's a part of it always.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. And then do you have any plans to, I would say, expand to other to other practices?
Absolutely. So immigration law, to kind of give you a high level picture, by our estimation, there's approximately 1.5 million. I mean, there are more, maybe less, lawyers in the U.S. Whereas
lawyers, okay.
In immigration, if you're taking lawyers and all the legal professionals, by our estimation, there's somewhere between 45 and 50K. So it's a really small market. So that really impacts the way that we employ marketing, plans and practices. And yes, we do ultimately plan to extend beyond immigration to kind of raise the ceiling. So we have another brand called Sandbox.law that we have not officially launched yet. Hopefully early next year, we'll launch that. And our focus will probably be on some not directly related, but similar minded, like form paper driven very ripe for automation. So things like trust and estate, bankruptcy, possibly personal injury, just because personal injury deals with a ton of documents, a lot of just like what we call e-discovery. So you have all these files and you're trying to sift through all of them and understand them. So those three will probably be our focus, but yes, we definitely plan to expand.
That's pretty exciting. That's a lot of and then the tickets also, like speeding tickets.
Oh yeah, that's where it all started, right? The do not pay tool, that was the one that got a lot of attention, and I think that was actually in the UK where that started. Was like the ticket. You could like petition your ticket or whatever. Yeah, that probably won't be something that we're going to pursue in the near term. But if I hear about one of those, I'll let you know.
I was just surprised because I'm from France, and in France, you get a ticket. Like there is no discussion about it. And in the US, I accidentally got a speeding ticket, and to be honest, forgot about it. And then I get a mail. I get a letter saying, you need to appear in front of the judge. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about the tickets. So I get to the in front of the judge, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm going to have to pay plus extra, plus I may have like, I don't know what's going to happen, like hours of, a service or whatever. And then the judge looks at my case and he's like, hey, you have no record of speeding, no DUI, no nothing. You've been a very good citizen. I want to offer you $100 instead of the 400 and no points on your license. Do you want to take the deal? I was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, right, good. Go back to the the cashier and pay the fine. And I was like mind blown, of like the difference between the law of like here you can negotiate almost everything.
Right. And I think the reality is they probably deal with a similar thing, right? Where, you have your little small town with probably a lot of, some amount of revenue comes from, I hate to say speed traps, but, being able to have those tickets. But yeah, it's interesting.
But in France, they do the same thing. They have tons of automatic radars, like tons of stuff, and there is no negotiation. You get your ticket, you pay your ticket. There is no arguing about it.
Right. And every jurisdiction in the US is different too, right? Like I was like one state, one town compared to another, like they're all, the speed limits are different, the requirements and how you pay is different. So it's
okay. So it's almost impossible to do. So it's better to focus on I would say federally regulated law rather than like city regulated law.
Right. It's like, I know in Tennessee, a lot of, where we're based, there are a lot of like, you go through the small town and they have like the cameras, they have like obviously the traffic light cameras, but they also have like speeding cameras. And so
really?
They'll like send they'll send, I know this because also I've received a ticket before in like a rural small town in Tennessee. But they'll like literally send you something in the mail and it'll have like a picture of your car, driving, I don't know, 10 miles over the speed limit or what have you. And yeah, it's and the laws around some of those things I think are still a little murky, but can't believe I'm like confessing to the fact that I have gotten a speeding ticket before, but yeah, our product will not be related to any of those things. We are at this moment completely focused on software for immigration law and assisting other lawyers with some of their tasks. So
no, yeah, I know we kind of like went down the rabbit hole of personal experience, but now I have another question for you. So you started a lot earlier than most people doing AI. However, we get this wave of AI software of like, with AI we're gonna do this, with AI we're gonna do that, and that's kind of like what everybody talks about. So I'm sure that even in the world of lawyers, we're kind of facing the same issue where you have every week a new AI software that comes out. So how do you position yourself? How do you position yourself, and how do you market your business? Or like, what are the things that like are working for you, and how do you differentiate yourself in order to succeed? I would say as marketing your website, your software.
Yeah. So I think the marketing aspect of our company is where we definitely felt like we've always had an advantage. We are really closely aligned with the Immigration Bar Association called AILA, American Immigration Lawyers Association. We've been able to maintain a really close relationship with them. They also have a lot of really good content that we're able to, partner with them and gain access to that material. So that collaboration has been really meaningful. And so I think from the outset, that was a really good, just in and of itself, a marketing win, because we are in a really small market. You can't just cold call and cold email and just burn through leads and expect to see, every law firm is a really meaningful, opportunity. So we don't want to burn any bridges. We don't want to annoy people. So it's like very much, I would say, our most important marketing, it's pretty old school, but like conferences. So immigration lawyers, there are tons of different like chapter conferences and an annual conference, and like being in person and showing the lawyers, like, here's a big screen. Let's talk about the product right here where you can see it in person. That is really meaningful versus, I think the email marketing, things like that, we can see some returns from those things, but I think just being able to give these like in-person explainers and demos have been in our space the most meaningful. So it's almost like you want to think about how you can employ all these like really fancy advanced marketing kind of tools. And at the end of the day, for us, it's really just been that really old school, like, let's just meet, let me show you what we do, and let's go from there. So
you're really into be your goal is basically to become the lighthouse for immigration lawyer, and then you want immigration lawyer to look at the light and be like, oh, let me check out, that looks like interesting, and let's try.
And so our product, really, honestly, the main challenge has not been getting people like in the door. It's been like explaining the value and helping them understand what is the value of the product. So in other words, I think where we've had to figure out and build out the most sort of resources is on the onboarding, right? So our co-founder, Greg Siskin, he's really well known across the small world of immigration law, right? So from that aspect, like being able to have a really close connection with Greg, and then a really close connection with the Immigration Lawyers Association, we have a lot of really good marketing and trust at the outset. The challenge is the tech. Like, the tech is brand new. No one understands what it means. It's like software that people haven't had to think about before, right? So like every professional services company, law firm included, have like a case management system, right? Like they have a CRM, a billing system, right? Like we have all these conventional tools like we know we need, but now it's like someone else, like our company, is saying like, no, well, all that's really good, but there's now this other thing that is really going to be essential for your practice. It's hard to get that, to like really
tell people like, hey, we're going to add something to your tech stack. You're going to have to learn new processes, but at the end of the day, the processes are going to help you, get back some time. It's going to take time. You're going to get a little time to get used to it. So, I know exactly what you mean. And people get confused as to, I already have this. No, you don't. That's why I'm calling you. But,
and I think, and I can explain this, and the evolution has been super clear over time. So if I'm going back to 2023, we had a prototype that summer at the big annual conference, and we were showing it up on the screens, and everybody was like, wow, it's like this, like sort of, it's like when ChatGPT came out, everyone was just like jaw dropping, amazed at sort of like what it could do, and just almost like instantly in terms of drafting responses and outputs. And, that was really nice, but it didn't necessarily lead to like users, if that makes sense, right? Like the awe, the shock and awe, the, kind of eureka moment, like all that stuff was happening and like that, but that didn't really mean conversions. I think what the next year though, to take it from like 2023 to like this year in 2024 at the summer and like talking to all these lawyers in person, it was more about, okay, so what does that actually mean? So like people were really trying to connect the dots, and we're like, okay, I get that this technology is really fancy and could be, a really big opportunity and meaningful, but what, like practically, how can I like we're talking about more like implementation, right? And like, how do I actually get it into my workflow? And that's where I was really excited, because that's where you can have those true conversations about, implementing the tech, and that's where the real like user, that's where we started to see some growth, right? Like more users were coming on, and it wasn't about just awareness. Like, obviously over time we'll have to raise, grow our awareness through a lot of different marketing methods, but it was really about going from something that's interesting to something that's essential, right? Like that's the hook. That's the marketing, challenge where I mean, we're still up against it, but essentially that's where I see the kind of the shift happening, the changes. Like, this is just some fancy, it's not smoke and mirrors, but it's fancy and we're just not sure what it means to, I really need this.
Yeah, no, I totally. You look at the cell phone or even the iPhone when it came out, everybody was making fun of it.
Right.
Literally, people were making fun of it. The Microsoft had like a fake burial for the iPhone. Like, it was so funny, and then now nobody can live without it. And now we even have, it's like, it's pretty crazy. So the idea is the same. Is I see what you mean. Is like, how do we shift the mentality of people to make it like, if you don't have that, you cannot practice immigration law, basically.
Right. It's like, just like we go out and shop vendors for our billing and HR payroll software or whatever. It's like, this will be something that will be meaningful of like, okay, what is and I don't think it's necessarily that way for every industry, but the products that offer these unique kind of skills and tooling. Yeah. What does this new product look like, category look like?
And so you figured out that because of the size of your market, and I would say the size of your market, you really have to be careful. So for you, the biggest I would say customer acquisition is going to conference. So it's more like a physical way. Do you guys do any like SEO, PPC, or really nothing at all?
Yeah, so I would say we do. I mean, I think a lot of our traction comes through initial emails and like referrals. So within the large, so you have this large group of people. There are these like smaller groups and organizations within this bigger pie, and so we try to create unique marketing materials for the unique groups, because they have make unique offerings or what have you, and that's really successful. But from the web perspective, it's really been, we've tried a few different things. We've done like webinars and social media posts, and are trying to drive SEO and things like that. It's been hard to be consistent. I mean, I'm sure you're a small bootstrap company. That's one thing I realized is like, I just found myself constantly exhausted at the beginning of like, okay, here's the newsletter, here's the webinar, here's the live stream, here's the social media. And so like, we finally, I think, have gotten to the point and grown to the point where I have some help on the marketing side, and that's been really, really meaningful, because I don't think personally it's like my strongest suit of like just being consistent in terms of like every week getting the newsletter out, every week, kind of doing.
Yeah, because it's a full-time job too.
Right. Absolutely. It's like, I find myself, it's amazing how long it can take me to draft like a really good newsletter. I'm just always amazed. It's like, even if I have a draft, to go from that draft to like when I finally get, I'm like, okay, I can send this out. It's amazing how, with all the AI tools and all the other things, it's like, you just want it to be, you don't want it to just be another spam email, right? Like, you want it to be meaningful.
So, especially for you and your type of business, as you said, like you cannot mess it up. That's the biggest, I would say, hurdle for you, is like, you need to make sure you're at the top level every time you communicate. So that way, I'm sure that, it's okay from time to time to make a mistake, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that every time you communicate, it's impactful and
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think we've tried to market our product in a way, and I think it's very true. It's like, this is what we've built is very much not a final product, right? It's like, this is still early on. We in fact are very open and honest about the fact that like several aspects of our product can still break from time to time, can still make lots of mistakes. And, I think what we do try to promote to people and try to help them understand is like, this is a lot, there is still an aspect of this that's like investing in the future, in terms of, initial return. But I think even in the last few months, we've really felt like it's gotten more to, okay, yeah, there really are some true value adds that you can have right now. But it is challenging, because like you say, you don't want to, I think I've never felt like it's this thing where I have this feeling like, oh, I can't mess this up, or it's like done. But you don't want to be like wasteful of someone's time, right? That's sort of the thing. It's like, even if we evaluate the product and you realize it's like, okay, this just isn't for you right now. It's not a, this isn't a, this is a real meaningful product. Like, we believe in what we're building. This is not just smoke and mirrors. Like, and I think we've gotten well past that at this stage. But yeah, you're right. It's a small market, and you're just mindful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. No, I'm super excited for you guys, and I will follow you because now with the new election and we know of the immigration changes is going to be probably pretty interesting, I would say, to say the least, for immigration lawyers. And so I'm sure that like a company like yours will really help everybody in making it more affordable and more precise as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I think all of that's true. And I think most firms are still trying to understand or figure out like what all of this will mean with the new administration. I think either way, the product is going to be meaningful. We're all the changes that might be happening, the policies and all that, like, we're going to make sure that our research product is up to date and trustworthy. And that's going to be a resource for people. On the drafting side, while certain documents and positions may get scrutinized, in further detail or to more of a degree than they have in the past, there's going to be, like, we're just going to have to hit that level of quality that people should expect in that first draft. So, and like you say, there could be, because you could be getting more requests for evidence, you could be getting more response that you're having to respond to, and so as things get busy and the paperwork piles up, like, having AI do some of these things is going to be, you're talking about that work-life balance, and frankly, just attorneys being able to keep, everyone being able to keep their sanity and a lot of that craziness and paperwork is going to be, meaningful.
Super. Yeah, no, for sure. So we'll see. Crossing my fingers for you, and excited to see how Visalo will evolve with the time and maybe change the name and become like an entire law suite of software suite.
Yeah.
That's
No,
pretty exciting. No,
yeah.
it's pretty exciting. All right, so Josh, thank you so much for participating, and I wish you and Visalo really all the best. Really all the best, because it's really exciting what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate your time. And as we enter that the broader legal market, obviously we'll be in touch, because we understand our little world of immigration, but marketing beyond that is definitely intimidating. So might reach out for your expertise at that point.
With pleasure.